Okay, in this lesson, we're going to actually be looking at a lot of vocabulary. Our topic that should go in your upper left-hand corner of your notebook is adding and subtracting polynomials. And your essential question is, what are the important facts to remember when adding and subtracting polynomials? So I don't want you to just tell me combine like terms. We need to be very specific with that. As you go through the video, please pause it, make sure you get all the definition because there's a lot of vocabulary here. Okay, so our first vocabulary word is a monomial. The prefix mono means one, and a monomial is simply a number, a variable, or the product of numbers and or variables. So it can look a lot of different ways. For example, here are some examples. -8 is an example of a monomial. X is an example of a monomial. 3x squared is an example of a monomial. X divided by 8 is a monomial, and we consider that a monomial because it can be written as 1/8 x. Those are all examples of monomials. An example that is not a monomial is 8 divided by x, because we don't know what x is. X could be 0, and if x were 0, then it would not come out to be a monomial. So we don't consider those monomials. Our next vocabulary word is a binomial. A bi, we know the bi means two, like a bicycle. And a binomial is made up of two monomials joined by adding or subtracting. Sometimes we can think of the word monomial as a term. So here's an example of some binomials. 3x plus 8. 3x is a monomial. 8 is a monomial, and we've joined it by adding. So 3x plus 8 would actually be a binomial. Another example, 4x squared minus 2. It has two terms, two monomials. Our third vocabulary is a trinomial, and you're probably starting to get the idea. Tri means three. So a trinomial is made up of three monomials joined by adding or subtracting. So a trinomial has three terms. Each term is a monomial. We've got three of them, so it's a trinomial. And then all of these nomials that we've talked about belong to the family of polynomials. Poly, the prefix poly means many. And so when we call an expression a polynomial, then that means that it has three or more monomials or terms. And so monomials, binomials, trinomials, just like I said, all belong to the family of polynomials. And anytime it has more than three terms, we just call it a generic polynomial. Standard form of polynomials. So we need to know the correct order, and we've talked a lot about what is the correct order to write things in. So standard form of a polynomial means that the polynomial is written in descending order based on its exponents and alphabetically according to the variables. So descending first on the, well, really first alphabetically, and then based on the exponents alphabetically. So here's an example. Alphabetically, x comes before y. So we're going to start out by looking at all of the x's. And so we would have x to the fourth, then x to the third, and then x squared. This y doesn't really matter. Even if this was like y to the fifth right here, this would still be the order because x comes before y, and so we're going to look at the exponents on the x first. Okay, here's an example of a polynomial. It's got four terms, and so I want you to pause the video and take a minute and see if you can rearrange that and put that in descending order yourself. And then when you're finished, restart the video. Don't cheat. Don't just wait and see what I write, because I know that's what you want to do. So the correct form would be -5x to the fourth, then minus 2x squared y plus 3x plus 5. The 5 is a constant term. It doesn't have a variable, so that's why it gets stuck on the end. And then I think this is the last vocabulary word that we're going to look at for this today, and it's called the leading coefficient. The leading coefficient is the coefficient on the first term of the polynomial when it is in standard form. So this previous polynomial that I gave you before, x to the 4th, is the first term, and it's in descending order in standard form. And our coefficient right here would be an understood 1. So the leading coefficient is 1. Okay, and this example right here, again, look at your first term. Here is my first term. So our leading coefficient would be -5. So I wanted to just get out a lot of that vocabulary for you, and we're going to pick up tomorrow with specifically adding and subtracting some polynomials. But I want you to look at this example right now, and I want you to go ahead and add this polynomial. I want you to find the sum of this problem, and then I want to see what you get, and I want to compare our answers tomorrow and use that as a talking point tomorrow. So please have an answer for this. This is your entrance ticket for tomorrow. Please be ready to put your answer on a sticky note when you come